So I can see this moving as your one-to-one experience to smaller groups in the cohorts that you coach and mentor. I mean, that's a more scalable, uh, maybe not as in depth, but it's not that kind of therapy, but it's you're impacting and helping more people while they're hopefully healthier.
Yep.
And then you said, okay, now hey, I'm gonna take the next step. I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
So let's go there. Let's talk about your book. I've already mentioned the name, but I'm going to say it again for the listeners, and it will be also in the show notes. But it's called uh, "Burnout to Balance," and that'd be enough title right there, because it's not just getting over burnout. I've read a lot of books with titles like "Beating Burnout," but this is not just beating it. It's get back to a place, or get to a place maybe for the first time of balance in your life. And then you got this subtitle, which I told you earlier, really intrigues me. Unlock your 7 dimensions of wellness to create a life of abundance. I know it sounds like, and if I'm wrong, you'll tell me, but you'll do it nicely. I know, but it sounds like the answers. I mean, obviously God is at work, and we're all looking to Him as the ultimate solution. But He's given us the answers inside. We have them, right? Unlocking doesn't mean go get. It means let it out, right? And so there's something that it's God's put in us, and you're going to coach us through how to unlock it. So you showed me that your little diagram. Tell us the high point. We won't. Again, we're not going to tell so much, listeners, that you won't want to buy the book. If you're like me, you've already made up your mind to buy it and read it. So take us at least into the to the model and the way you want us to think about this.
Yeah, so I'm also gonna just share my screen so you all can kind of see what we're looking at, and I will share it, Mike, with you. I might share a couple other diagrams that kind of connect a lot of what I've shared so far. But this is really how I view our 7 dimensions of wellness, and really where I came to this decision was most wellness models you're going to find out there have 8 dimensions, but I struggled with that because we can't talk about finances or occupation without talking about the other, right? They're very much intertwined. And so I really felt like they kind of needed to be together. But the way this model looks is we are a spirit being, right? So our spiritual is really at the core of who we are. That's at the core of what drives us, why we do what we do, and why we do what God's called us to, right? Is that spiritual. And then we talk about that, right? I hear a lot of pastors talk about spirit, soul, and body. Well, that's kind of where this diagram's at. We start with that spirit, but then we go into the soul and body, right? Our mind, will, and our emotions, which is that soul part. And we have to be well there to be able to have all this other stuff in this diagram. And so even though like environment, right, that impacts our spirit, soul, and body, just as we impact and we influence the environments we're in. And same with occupation and financial. And I think social, right, from a kind of outside view, even though on this diagram it looks like it's kind of on the outside, it is part of our health journey. It has that direct impact. I think I mentioned earlier that the more burnt out we are, the more we isolate from people, but we're not designed that way. God didn't design us to isolate, right? We are social beings and we actually heal in social situations. If you ever pay attention to certain words, illness versus wellness, there's a difference. Illness starts with I, isolated. Wellness is a we, it's a collective.
Yeah.
And so that's been an interesting part of my journey. But just kind of as an overview, this is how I view our wellness. And what my book talks about kind of goes through these different components and how to start healing that process, right? And how to first off lower that stress response. When we can lower the stress response, we can think clearer and start to heal our bodies and heal our minds from stresses of life. And so that's kind of just that overview of this is how I view our wellness. And we need all of this to truly mitigate burnout.
It is interesting as I'm looking. And by the way, for those of you who are not watching on YouTube, you can certainly go there and see this. We'll also put a link in the show notes for those of you listening on the podcast of where you can go to see it. I suspect it's on your website in some prominent place. And if not, I think we'll put it someplace. There'll be a link you can get to. But I like where you're going, and look at this. And I think it's one of the few models that makes perfect sense. But so many models start with the dimensions of your life, and spiritual is one of it's equal to physical, psychological, and emotional. And I think as a believer, we would all agree with this, that it really is the core of who I am. But very few health related, wellness related models put spirituality for us, our relationship with God and Christ.
Right.
We don't put, I mean, others don't put that at the center. So I appreciate that you did. And then each dimension beyond that is a dynamic of health. What are some of the keys?